Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to give you a mid-year update on all of my projects, all the things I set out to do at the beginning of this year, and where I am with them. Are they still important to me? And if I'm a little bit behind on some of them, which I am, how I plan to catch up. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Patricia Brooks. I am an American living in the south of France and have been since 2018. And on this channel, I talk about my life here, moving abroad, and how you can find the confidence and courage to do what you feel called to, even when it feels scary. And today, as I said, I'm going to be talking about my goals and my mid-year update. Now, this is going to be a ride-along video, so buckle up. All right, so January 2025, I don't believe I did a video that set out all of the things that I was going to accomplish, but I had goals. I still have goals. I am a Capricorn, and if you follow astrology, Capricorns are supposed to be ambitious. Well, yeah, that's me. I'm a pretty ambitious person. And I love a challenge. I like to stretch myself and see how far I can go. So the beginning of January, I had signed up for an online course to help me to learn how to pitch to literary agents. Now, I am in the process of writing my third book. It's a memoir. And it talks about why I felt so compelled to move to France, even though France hadn't been on my radar just a few short years ago, and why I defied logic to do this irrational thing, something I felt was irrational. And it was something that I thought I would know immediately. And it hasn't manifested that way, right? Still 7.5 years in, I am kind of still wondering, why? Why did you do such a harebrained thing? And so that's the topic of the book. Well, anyway, I have written 2 drafts of this book, and I thought I am ready to start pitching to literary agents so I can get this show on the road, get this traditionally published, and see what that's all about and how to move forward with that. So I signed up for this course. And in January, that's what I was going to do. I was going to prepare my book proposal. I was going to just get this done. However, I had another goal, and that was to pass the DELF French exam. Now, this is a language exam, and it's good if I want to go for French citizenship. And so I was planning on taking that back in 2024, but time got away from me then, so I said I kicked it down the road to March of 2025. So here I've got this big goal of pitching to literary agents and studying for the French exam. No, not happening, because once I got into studying for the DELF, I signed up for a class to understand what it was all about and what I'd need to do to be successful at it. And I realized that even though I could speak French fluently, there were some things that I needed to study and practice so that I could pass the test. Because taking a test and speaking French are similar, but they're different. So I spent January, February, half of March studying for this exam. And you know what? I didn't do anything with the book. I handed it over to some beta readers, 2 of whom completed reading it and gave me some very valuable feedback while I was heads down studying. And then we reviewed that after I sat for the exam. And I'm like, okay, that's great, but I still have so much else to do. I don't have time to really process it and start working on the book, because took the exam mid-March and passed it, passed it at a B2 level. So I'm still very satisfied with that. However, on March 22nd, just a week after I sat for the exam, I was giving an online live workshop with my friend, Dr. Christopher Wells, who lives in Valencia, Spain. We decided we were going to do this Plan, Pack, Minimize for Your Move Abroad online workshop. And so in February and March and part of January, I was preparing for that along with studying. So by the time I finished taking the exam, by the time I finished giving the workshop, I was exhausted. I was spent, and I didn't feel like doing a damn thing. And so I took some time off just to veg. And so that takes us to the beginning of April. Now I decided at the beginning of April that I was going to go to Antibes and Nice and visit Italy for the first time, because in Antibes there was this Project Management Institute seminar that I needed for my professional development units. Now, I am a project management professional, or PMP, and it's a certification that I have to every 3 years submit these credits, these continuing education credits, or PDUs as they call them in Project Management Institute terms. And so I was behind the 8 ball with that. So that's why I signed up for this seminar. And it was an amazing seminar. It was all in French, and I got so much out of it. It was such a good one. I'm thinking about doing another one next year, even though I've got 3 years before I have to scramble for my credits again. Long story short, I didn't, once I had done my vegging, get back into writing the book because, well, I was gone away. So that was something else I accomplished. I'm proud of that. And out of that, I did some networking. Not a whole lot while I was there, because it's really hard to network, and it's hard to network in a new language. And I am out of practice. But I did meet a couple people. We connected on LinkedIn. And from there, once I got back home, other people saw that I had attended and they connected with me. And out of that, somebody asked me to write an article for their project management blog in French. Yes. And I did it. And that feels incredible too. So that's something else I accomplished. Not on my list of things to do at the beginning of January, but a result of something that I had to do so that I could renew my project management professional certification. So I'm busy, right? So where am I with this book, which was one of the big things that I set out to do, to tackle in January? Well, after sitting down and reviewing the insights and feedback from my beta readers, I took it to heart. I thought, yeah, I think they have some valuable input. And I revamped the first couple of chapters. And I thought, okay, I'll do that. And then I'll go in and just change a few things for the rest of it. But as I started looking at the follow-on chapters, I realized, this is going to need me to go into each of those chapters and kind of rearrange where the material goes, which chapters it goes in. It's like a puzzle. And so I guess it was toward end of May, because after I went to that conference, after I wrote that article, I also, for my business, I hired an intern. So for 2 months, I'm working with her, and that is taking up a lot of time. And that was a great experience as well. Like, I learned so much from her. She learned a lot from me. I continued to improve my French because our meetings were all in French, but that took time away from other things that I'd be able to do, like get this book going. Here we are, August 3rd. I have not started pitching to agents, but I have to tell you that the book is in good shape. I am on chapter 11 of probably 30 chapters, and I feel really good about the way this is shaping up. I was watching a video about writing and the writing process, and I had said this maybe 2 days before I watched the video, that, oh yeah, those first 2 chapters, I wrote that book for me. This third draft, I'm writing for you, for the audience. And it's a very different book from the draft I had in January, but in a good way. So where am I with that? What am I committing to do? Well, I'm working on that book every day. I'm writing on that book. I'm getting ideas. I'm listening to writing podcasts so that I can hone my craft. I've purchased one book, one writing book. There's another one I want to buy and start reading and improve with that. So I am thinking by the end of September, I want to have this draft done. And maybe by mid-September have the book proposal completed, because I know I don't need to have the book completely written, but the way that the second draft was written, I really need to rearrange a lot of things, and I need to have chapter titles and summaries. And in order to do that, it's like having the book written. So doing the work up front, feeling really good about it. And yeah, I think maybe I'll put a line in the sand by the end of September, pitching to agents. That gives me 2 solid months. So I'm going to put a line in the sand and say that. I know how time flies. I know how busy I am being an entrepreneur, a solopreneur who juggles it all. And so that's one of the reasons that it feels to me like I am not accomplishing what I set out to, or in the time frames that I set out to. But I have learned to give myself grace, because as I just talk about this, I think, oh, Patricia, you have done so very much. So what do you have planned for the next 5 months? What's one thing that you'd like to accomplish by the end of this year? Let me know in the comments. All right, so what does the next 5 months of 2025 hold for me? Well, I'm going to continue to do my Women Rising Roundtables. Now, that's something I didn't even mention that I did it the first half of the year. I started these conversations with a small group of women every month, and we talk about a subject, and I help them work through things so that they can grow personally, and that there's a community of like-minded women that they can tap into. And so I started that in February, and I've had one ever since, except for last month, and the next one is August 16th, 2025. So it's all about being seen, heard, and unapologetic. And it's going to be a great one. There are still a handful of slots that are left. So if you're a woman and you are ready to start to become less of a wallflower, be able to speak your mind with confidence, then this Women Rising Roundtable is for you. So, you know that I want to finish my book proposal and start pitching agents. And I've put a line in the sand. It's at September 30th. Don't know how realistic that is, but I always tell people I coach that you need to set a date, because then you're working towards something and you feel some pressure, so that you put your head down and do the work. One of the reasons that I feel that maybe that's aggressive is because I think I might be going away in August, just a 3-day trip to the mountains. That idea just popped into my head today, and I thought, yeah, Patricia, go. Take that trip, take some time out. And maybe I can use that time at the mountains away as really solid work time. But I'm also going to Cognac, France in September to help a friend move in there, right? So that's going to be a week where I am out of pocket. Come October, I have my summit for the Carefree Expat Incubator Program. Now that's my signature program, and that's for single women who are ready to move abroad and have a community and build their mindset, so that once they get there, they hit the ground running, they feel confident and ready to live the kind of life that they have set out to live in their dream country. Now, and each year, this is going to be our 3rd annual Carefree Expat Incubator Summit. We are meeting in Avignon, France. Now, this is just for members of my program. However, I'm sharing this because this is something else that I have to plan for and get done. And that's going to be mid-October. So I've got that going on. I think the final big thing that I am going to tackle in the next 5 months, or start in September, is really looking into what it takes to become a French citizen. I ran into somebody at a vernissage, an art opening, month and a half ago, and she too is American. She's ready to start the process, and we decided we were going to be accountability partners in it. And so that's the other big thing. I'm not necessarily applying in the next 5 months, but I'm looking at what documents I need to pull together, all the ins and outs of that, and then figure out a timeline for when I'm going to say I'm going to submit my papers. All right, so that's pretty big as well. So that's where I am on August 3rd, 2025. I feel like I've done a whole lot. And the things I didn't mention are the things that I just do to keep the lights on, right? My weekly YouTube video. I do a live stream typically at least once a month, right? There are so many things that I've got going that it's hard to keep track of. And sometimes if I don't do a video like this, I don't recognize it and I don't give myself the credit that I deserve. And so I think it's a great activity or exercise for everybody to kind of sit down in the beginning of the year or the end of the year to kind of see where you are and where you want to go. Beginning of year, if that suits you, and then mid-year or maybe even quarterly so you can check in. I think that all of the things that I am working toward are still things that are important to me, but sometimes things shift. A year ago, I was talking about learning Spanish. Where is that? That's not on my list of priorities. And so I think when you do take stock, you get a sense of that, and you can give yourself the grace, and you can not feel bad about saying, hey, yeah, that was important to me last year, but right now I've got a lot going on and that's no longer important to me, or that's just no longer important to me. It was, and it no longer is. So there you have it. My mid-year update. Let me know what surprises you about it. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, share it with friends, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.